Well, the bubble life was hard, to be very honest. It was challenging to the extent that it could affect your mental health.
It was the first year post that COVID IPL where there were no crowds. There was some capacity crowds opening 30%. Your new team campaign here in Chennai now, it's full Thala vibes. Uh, how was that transition for you going from first no crowds? Obviously, cricket being such a sport in India where it becomes so much about the cricketer and the connect with the audience and not as much about the game. It's so that connection is so pure within the audience and the cricketer. That love is so pure, and to take that completely away and then to come back into a new bubble, how was that for you, not only as a cricketer but also to balance your personal life, going from bubble to bubble, campaign to campaign? How was that?
Well, the bubble life was hard, to be very honest. It was challenging to the extent that it could affect your mental health, because you're, especially when we were playing domestic cricket. I remember before the IPL, we were playing like within a bubble itself, and in that, what we were doing was we were supposed to be in our room for the most part of the day, and we'd get 1 hour to go to the gym and come back into the room. We can't meet anybody else, even though we're all on the same floor. You can't go to your teammates' rooms. The only conversation you can have is at the door. You kind of speak to whoever is closest to you. Otherwise, you're in your room, and then you go out for practice, which is for 2 hours. Again, you go through a corridor. You come back through a corridor. You have separate lifts for you, so you come up and go up through that. And the quarantine, I think, was by far the hardest, because I think, as in not to take away what people generally went through during the quarantine, or during that lockdown in our lives. I'm speaking within just the aspect of playing cricket in a bubble, right?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about life in a bubble.
Yeah.
Within the aspect of playing cricket in a bubble, it was definitely challenging. I wouldn't compare it to life outside, because people were dying and people were suffering and people are losing their loved ones, and there's no replacement to all of those things. There's no comparison to all of those things.
But that added pressure then comes on to you because people were looking at cricket as a
The only source of
escape,
entertainment
only
at
source
that
of
point in time.
entertainment
Yeah, for
and
sure.
anything.
And well, I think you use what motivates you, and at that point, I think it was challenging just being in that kind of situation, because you're in a situation where food's kind of delivered to your room. You don't have a choice of what's being delivered. You're in a room, you're isolated, you can't meet anyone, you're just there for 14 days, and then you go out, and when you go out, this is how you go out, and out of the gym, then back again, then 2 hours of practice and back again, but within the corridor, you don't meet anybody else. So it like initially it's a novelty, but after a point it kind of gets to you. But when you moved to the IPL, you felt like, and it was, I think, the 2021 IPL, the 2020 IPL is complete lockdown.
Yeah,
that was
cool.
also here.
Yeah.
In
That was
Dubai,
also in Dubai,
right?
yes. Correct.
And that was complete lockdown. We did the full 9 yards, 14 days of quarantine, can't meet anyone, then just practice and then back, and it was weird IPL, like weird experience, honestly. No crowds whatsoever. You have fake crowd sounds just to kind of bring up the intensity a little bit.
That me as an audio engineer, IPL, you need to do better. Because I could tell it's the same one person screaming woo non-stop. Please.
I've actually always been curious to know how it is to be like on the pitch and hear that kind of crowd around you. I'm sure that makes a difference to how you perform on
Yeah,
the field.
100%,
And
man.
then going from that to COVID must have been, I don't know, a bit like
Yeah, it's like going
Mentally.
into
yeah.
into a quiet room where,
Yeah.
like a speakeasy.
Yeah, like I can't imagine being on stage and it's fake crowd noise and there's no one in the club and
Yeah.
they're just telling me I should just play for the sake of
Correct,
Yeah.
play. Like it just.
Yeah, and it came with its challenges, but it also came with its boons, because when you look at a situation like that, where the only thing you can do at that point in time is, I think in life you do your best with what you have, right? You play the cards that you're dealt, and those are the cards that were dealt to us at that point in time. And as in, a lot of people in the world weren't able to go out there and earn their bread, while we were able to do that and provide entertainment to the people who love the game. So it's a privilege. But again, whatever I'm speaking is within those privileges.
Of course.
These are the
Yeah.
challenges
Yeah,
that we
yeah.
experienced.
Yeah, of
It wasn't like through hell and high water, but it was challenging where it was.
Yeah.
But
No,
it
absolutely.
was a new experience for everyone, and
Correct.
that just because
no
you
one's
were a
used to that,
sportsman doesn't
right?
mean you're used
Yeah.
to it. It's
Yeah,
new
you're
for
not-
you as
yeah.
well.
It was, yeah.
And these rules were changed daily, like
Yeah.
Every day there was a new,
Yeah, you
oh,
need to
don't
be
do this,
adaptive.
or don't do that.
I remember, I think in those 2 years, I must have done, through one IPL, I must have done about 70 or 80, those COVID tests. So like every other day we'd have to do a COVID test. So
Yeah,
we
there was some
like
48 hours,
in
72
those
hours
two
something
years, I
rule.
must have done at least 200 like
My
swabs.
God.
Yeah,
My
it's
God.
not the easiest. After a point, you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, it can be. It was that was the annoying bit
That
to
can be
go through
annoying.
that over and over again.
And I feel like they did it more with you, like compared to normal people. They would do it more
Yeah.
precisely with athletes just to make
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, that was those are the challenging bits. But outside of that, for me, COVID personally on a personal level was a huge boon because I got to spend time with my son. I was on the road a lot at that point in time. My son was 2 or 3 years old, and like it was very critical to me as a parent to be able to spend in that first 4 or 5 years. They call it the foundational formation years with a child. So whatever bonds are formed between the parents and the kid happens in that time. So I was like, man, I really want to spend time with my kid, but life and really responsibilities kind of take over as well. For me, to be able to spend that 6-8 months with Neil, my son, and to be able to create that bond with him, I know that my relationship with him is set for life in the sense where I know that I was able to create that bond with him. So for me, it was a massive boon.